So it's so important to get this information correctly and to annotate it onto your scorecard. Identify each team's starting server. So what we're really saying there is that Elizabeth Vogt, for example, is got a blue top on. So we're going to put blue, and she's the starting server for their team. So you're going to put blue there. And of course, the other team is wearing a white shirt, so you put white down there, or whatever distinguishing mark you can for that first server and against that name. It just helps you identify that person more quickly than having to look for the band all the time. But again, your job as a referee is to ensure that that first server band is visible to all players, all spectators, and yourself at all times through that game. Most important. And yes, they can wear it on their shoe. They can wear it anywhere where it's visible, but it has to be seen at all times. And yes, they don't have an option. They must wear the serving band for that tournament without a doubt. Okay, and continue to warm up with the remaining time that you have left after you've done your introductions. And you say you have 2 minutes and you let them go away and do it. And then you tell them when 1 minute is up, you say 1 minute, and you start your stopwatch, or you've already got it going. And then you give them, call the balls in, and it says tailor the briefing to circumstances and the player's experience, depending where you are in the day. Mark the serving team for each game. Circle the starting server for each team. Record identifying characteristics we've already talked about. And then mark your change end notifications. So again, at a game 1 to 15, you're going to put that little triangle underneath the 8 on both teams. If it's best of 3 to 11 by 2, you're going to do that under the 6 for both teams. I'm going to show you here. We're going to have a graphic with the score sheet in a minute here. Well, there it is right now. So there's your score sheet. So let's just start here. I think you can see my cursor, Walter, right?
Yep.
Right, okay. Good. So here we are. Mary Smith and Jim Smith are playing together. So Mary has the band on. We confirm with her that she's the first server. So you take the pencil and you circle Mary Smith's name. The other side, you find out who that is down there. Who is it? Ralph Brown. And he's the starting server. So again, you circle that. And we again have determined that we asked them and they took the serve first. So they got 2 X's here. I don't know why there's 2 X's, but just 1 X in that box and 1 X in this box is good. And by default, you can put an X in the other team's second serving box because by default, they're going to serve in that second game. You don't see a right or a left up here, but that's where I'm recommending you put an R or an L right here by the names, nice and clear, so that you have it here, that you know that they chose what side and you have already identified where you're standing. And we'll talk a little bit later, maybe not today, maybe in the next section, about where you should be standing as the referee, taking into consideration other referees' positioning, the sun, line judges, whatever else comes into it. You have to consider all that and have a plan. So again, this is match 39A, and we're on court 23. Frank Johnson's the referee. We're playing best of 3 to 11, first to 11, win by 2. Good. And of course, we put the blue top down here opposite Mary Smith's name, or was it Elizabeth Vogt? I can't remember. But anyway, there's where we put the blue top. And over here, we've got red cap. So for Ralph. He must have been wearing one of those Trump hats, but we won't get into that. Okay, and then we put our triangle down here at the bottom of the third game to identify that we're going to switch sides at that point. Now, this is not part of best practices, and I'm going to jump ahead here. Once we're in that third game, and Mary Smith, the score is 6-2, we are going to take that and fill that little triangle in. And that just helps us, again, put an identifying mark on the score sheet that identifies that that team got there first and that we have switched ends. Okay, That just helps us do that and to keep everything in front of you. Again, this score sheet is so important for identifying marks and you making annotations on there that you can come back and read and track what has happened in the past. All right, so we'll move on. So here we are now, we're putting our scorecard in with our clipboard. And of course we have a peg, which is your close peg up here, which is your clip, we like to call it, the referee clip. And it's got the number 2 on it, you'll notice. And with a backward slash that goes top left to bottom right. So that indicates the number 2, server. And of course, we all know we start a match with the server serving at 0-0-2. If you don't know, 0-0 start was an old way of calling that starting server at the start of a match. That is no longer in vogue. They don't want you calling 0-0 start. It is always the number. So it's 0-0-2 is the score. So if you turn that close peg around, we're going to see it's got a 1. And of course, the slash is going to go the other way. So what I always do is make this little V in front of me. Where's my hands here? So I always make that in front of me. So this one here is going from top right to bottom left. And that's your first server. Second server goes the other way. So every time you're going to make a mark on the score sheet and it's the second server, we're going to start here. If they score a point, we're going to put it down from top left to bottom right. And maybe the next slide will show us that. Okay, so we're going to go back because what we also want to indicate on this clipboard is that we have the clip that holds the score sheet onto the clipboard. So somebody in their brilliance used that clip to be always pointing at the serving team. So it's important. You'll notice again, of course, that the score sheet has got a top and a bottom. And when the names are legible and they're up, and they're in that clip, they're pointing to the side of the court where the people are standing that are starting the match. That's very important. That's the first thing I watch when I go out there as a referee and I have new referees, is which way are they holding the clip? And of course, if the clip is pointing to the right and the server is pointing on the left, I know that they don't have the right names on the score sheet up and indicating to the correct server. And that's a problem because now you're going to start putting a line and mark the wrong score for the wrong team. Everybody follow that? Anybody got a hard time with that one? Raise your hand and just say, let us know. Don't be shy.
Okay, at this point, there's probably the easiest. Open your mic and say something if you need to. Easier than raising the hand.
Okay, so again, we are looking straight at the court right here. Our clipboard is in front of us, right this way you see it on the screen. So the people to the left are serving. The score is 0-0-2. What do we know right from that right away? We know we have a service band on the right-hand court serving to a server band on the left-hand court serving, and a service band on the right receiving. And the score is even, we're good to go. So we call the score. We always finish off by looking at the receiver to make sure they're ready. We go back to the server and we call the score 0-0-2. And we watch them start their service motion. We watch their serve to make sure that it's legal. We make sure that they're standing with their feet behind the line and they're within the boundary of the court from the sidelines and not over the center line. We then watch the ball. Does it hit the net? No. Has it cleared the non-volley zone line? Yes. Has it hit the court on the surface? Yes. We have a good serve. Systems are go. So then we watch the receiver. They come forward, they hit the ball, they hit it back. They have to let it bounce. They return a serve must bounce, and we watch for that. And when the serving team are still behind the line, they haven't moved up, we're good. If they've moved up, they might hit a volley. You have to be ready for that and call a fault. If it doesn't and it bounces, then the rally continues and goes. So we're good. But just wanted to run through that with you a little bit, because there's a lot for the referee to do between each and every point. You have about 12 things to do by watching the server, making sure your score is correct, and doing all those things each and every time. So you need a routine and a pattern to get that down. We'll get into that later. So pointing the clip towards the serving team, always. So the name is up. The server clip over the circled starting server name with 2 facing you. So remember, go back to this one. Whoop, went too far. There we are. So the clip is over the server's name, and we say over, it is right over it. So when that gets taken off, if they put it into the net, we're now going to flip this clipboard completely over 180 degrees. We're going to take the clip off of where it was as we flip it, and then we're going to put it onto Ralph's name. And what's it going to show on there, a 1 or a 2?
1.
It'll show 1 when you turn it over.
Good, because there's now Ralph's going to be the first server. That's right. So it's going under Ralph's name right on top of it, and it's going to be 001. So now are we going to be checking? We're going to check the server. He's got a band on. We're going to check the receiver. They've got the band. We're good to go again. So get ready, check the receiver, look at the server, call the score. 001. Watch the ball, go through that whole routine yet again. Good. So establish position 3 to 4 feet directly behind the net post. I'm thinking that even 3 feet is a little bit close. The way the players are playing now, and of course it does depend on the caliber of the players you're refereeing, but if they're young and agile and they're going to be doing earnies and jumping at you, you want to be back far enough to not obstruct them. So you just need to consider that. But now the new process is that you don't move left or right. We used to do that. We used to take a step to the left when that team was serving, or a step to the right of the net post when the other team was serving, so that we were standing a little bit towards the serving teams, because when we knew it. They don't want you doing that anymore. You're to stand directly behind the net post, your service clip pointing to the direction of the serving team, or the clipboard pointing to the serving team. You know who's serving, and you know when you have to make what call. So again, 4 to 5 feet would probably be more like it, I would say. You're going to be well back, but not far enough away that you can't get a good view of the non-volley zone line from both sides, or at both sides of the court. You want to make sure that you can see them equally well and got a very good vantage point, because you're looking for that little bit of a foot that touches that line on a volley, or does it just overhang it but not touch it? And you have to be able to make that call and distinguish between that, when it touches or whether it's just overhanging. Confirm readiness. I've already sort of talked about that. So ready, or should be ready. You look at the receiver, you look at their partner. And now the new rules from last year were that the partner is also part of this. Remember, you used to just ignore the partner, and if the server was in position and the server did not have their hand up because their partner was not in position or not moving where they should be, you could call the score. Now you need to consider all players before you call the score. But the other thing you're doing is you're considering your tempo of the game and calling the pace. So you don't want to be taking an inordinate amount of time each time. You want to keep the pace of this game moving. So you do a quick perusal, and if everything is good, call that score. Look at the server and the partner, ready or should be ready. And again, the distinguishing thing there is, are they ready, or should they have been ready? All right. I've seen a lot of players that after every point, they want to have a little tap of the paddle and have a little talk about what just happened. That's not happening, right? They need to move directly from A to B, give them sufficient time to get into place, and you call the score. Based on the score and the server bands, mentally confirm, are the server and the potential receiver correct? So important each and every time. So here's some questions, of course, they can ask you. We all know this, I think. What is the score? And you reply, you have 4. Okay? And that's either the serving team or the receiving team. That's what you try to do. If they say, no, I would like the complete score, please, ref. What is the complete score? Then you are to step forward, step right into the court, raise your hand above your head, and say, the score is 6-4-2. What I say, 6-4, second server. It doesn't tell you in best practices you have to do that. But by saying 6-4-2, that's like you would do exactly the same as you would be calling the score. And that's why somebody could serve inadvertently on that. And now you get into the big row. Well, they served illegally. Did they lose the serve or not? So we're trying to prevent that. So by having your hand up there, that should really do it. So, but what I do is we try to get away with saying you have 6. No, the whole score, ref, move forward, hand up, and say the score is 6-4, second server. Move back, look at the receiver and the partner. If they're ready, look at the server, call the score, 6-4-2, and away we go. So you understand the distinguishing difference there? All right, you know how to handle that one. It's quite important. The serving team may ask, am I the correct server? And you reply with yes or no. The receiving team may ask, am I the correct server, a receiver? And you reply with their score. All right, you say you have 6. They are to figure it out. And if they have 6, what are you telling them? You're telling them that the guy with the band on needs to be standing in the right-hand court. Even if the ball is going to the other person, it could be 4-6-2, serving from the other side, so they're serving to his partner, but at least that receiver is in the right serving box or side of the court. Announce the score clearly, loudly, and with a consistent cadence. So important. If referees start mixing up their cadence each and every time they go to call the score, and how many times have you done it, as you're starting out, what will you do? You go 6-4, and you sort of look at your page and go 2, 6-4, 1, 2. Those are all causes for them to have started their service motion because they're expecting it continually. So you would just say referee error, put both hands above your head. Time, referee error. I'll recall the score, please. If you've led to a mistake and you realize it because of your tempo, and then you clearly announce the score again, 6-4-2. And that's when the service motion is allowed to begin. And of course, they have the 10 seconds to get the ball into play. There's a 10-second rule there. Now you need to be cognizant of that because after you've called the score, here's a little hint. You never, ever call the score a second time. You've called the score. They may have not heard it and they look at you. And so see referees do this every time. They just go 6-4-2 again. Starts the clock. You don't do that. But all I do is go like this. I move my hand and go like this. I've already called the score, so just let them know. There's a little movement.
We can't see you. We're just seeing your PowerPoint presentation.
Ah, okay. Good to know. Thank you. I can see me. I was moving my hand very nicely.
I can see you, Alan.
All right. So John, I don't know whether you want
Here
to.
as well.
Okay.
I can see you as well. You're viewed.
You can change that, John. I think your selection to see who's speaking.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Any player may signal not ready before the score is called. All right. This was again a new rule that came in last year. Previously, it was just the server, the receiver that could signal not ready. And now, as you probably know, all 4 players can be indicating a not ready. So you as a referee need to be cognizant of that and aware that you've got to check out all the players before you call that score and give them a good reason. After the score is called, ignore the not ready signals. Again, rule change previously. If somebody, after you've called the score and they went, wait a minute, you went, or whatever they might say, that would be a fault. And I kind of liked it that way, but USAPA came in and said we are just to ignore any comment after the fact. And again, my problem with that is that if they are saying, wait a minute, and the guy is about to serve, that could influence, or that could, bother the server at that time. And the referee doesn't know that and got no power to do anything with it. So the server needs to be focused and get their serve off. But that's how you are to handle that right now for the next little while at least.